I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another politics stream here on Moisky Live. Joining me to talk about some things and stuff is Trups. I remember to change the scene on time this time. Say hello, Trups. Oh, that's alright, that's better. Better than last week where you had sod all.
Yes, I've gotten better. New year, new me. Even though I failed the first two streams.
I had the cork, it's fine. Although to be fair, I've discovered more recently absolutely resplendent corks and I don't have them in my room. Quite disappointed by it. They're in my cabin. Bushmills. If you want the best cork popping sound, it's a cork that doesn't fit into the bottle properly, which means it pops the best. That's the one. Although the bottle, that can sound, I assume Dr. Pepper or something.
It is, in fact.
Oh, it was a fluky guess. I think I vaguely recall you telling me about that once. I thought maybe you just only ever drank that or something.
That's pretty much what's all in the house.
Really?
That or my tea. I also have a tea.
If you have a can of tea that does that sound, you and I are about to have a fight.
No. The tea is in a bottle.
Anyway, how is Trups this week?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Most of my work has been babysitting a progress bar all week.
Really?
So, yeah. So I've been trying to keep busy with literally anything else.
Well, I'm glad that you're keeping busy at least. Before we start, thank you to everyone that watched our last stream that was demonetized on Jeffrey Epstein, essentially. This is now demonetized as well because of that. Got more views than we've had in a while, and we really appreciate it. We are going to seek to do better in 2024. Today's a bit of a strange one because I have been at a funeral today. So I've not been at the computer all day. And I know there's no this week, it hasn't been this week at Twitter, which will get made tomorrow. I didn't stream on Twitch. I was with my dad because I'm a mediocre son. Okay, I'm not a great son. I'm not the most emotionally available. When I gave him a hug, the next words out of my mouth were, "You get one."
Jesus Christ, man.
And in fact, when Dave and I were getting in the car to leave, Dave said it verbatim because I'd mentioned I gave my dad a hug. Because he knew damn well that's why. Because when I've always been that way though. My dad knows this as well, so it's fine. It's not uncomfortable. It's just I'm very removed. Yeah.
Sure.
But we had a great time in the bar this evening. Had a laugh. I wore my captain's hat. We poured a really expensive glass of Bushmills 21 and some Singleton 14, which was absolutely gorgeous. My dad thought it was too potent, but that's because he's a casual. But we had a few toasts and reminisced and some great stories. And I discovered, first of all, I didn't know my grandparents knew I'd gone to visit my granddad multiple times before he passed away. I sat outside the hospital because I couldn't visit. I didn't know they knew because I sat outside waiting to go and see him. And I didn't know that I got scouted for a Premier League team when I was a kid. I'm irritated now because I could be rich. Although according to Dave, I'd have all the whiskey, and then I had to point out, if that were the case, like a football player, I'd be an alcoholic and I'd be broke. Which I'm also okay with.
I hear no lies.
True, yeah. I don't hear a problem either. Well, beyond my liver. I didn't know that until my dad told me. I was like 8 years old or something like that. And apparently Chelsea were interested. And I said no. I wish my dad's such an idiot. Parents should be more forceful. He should have beaten me into the ground and said, "You are going to play. You're a Spurs fan. You're going to play for Chelsea. So when you play Spurs, you let him in, all right? All right? You do as you I've got some bets to make, son. You know what I mean?"
12 matches into the season, unbeaten. Plays Tottenham. Let's in 4.
To be fair, I showed my dad my old goalie gloves, and they're tiny. My gloves. I was a very aggressive goalkeeper when I was a kid. Very aggressive. But I didn't have a very forceful voice until much older. I never shouted for people to do things. But I was genuinely. I didn't know this. I did not know, and I was so taken aback. I thought, oh man, I could have had so many prostitutes.
Yeah, that's what the
buried under the foundation of my home.
The moral of this story is.
Yeah, but no, it was lovely. It was nice to cheer him up a little bit. It's been a difficult day for him losing his partner and all that. I thought some decent whiskey and a bit of fun conversation and some hilarious stories were good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting week. I think news-wise. UK has been taken up a lot by a postal scandal, but I'm not going to talk about that today. And I know some people might want me to. I'm going to preface this by saying it is it's very complicated, and I mean genuinely. It all stems from a documentary, a drama show on ITV. I think it was ITV. And it was based on historical truth about scandals with the post office where people end up with criminal records that they should not have had. That was called out during the time of Tony Blair and was never dealt with or addressed until now. And politicians are now starting to address it. So I don't want to talk about it because it's not fully resolved. And I really want it to be something that we can talk about fully because it shows how corrupt our postal system was, that people were going to prison, people were getting their lives destroyed over nothing. And someone had tried to say it was a computer error and not a human error. And my eyes, I could have rolled them things so far back. I would look like one of my nieces that looks at me with a dirty look and just goes, "Uncle, shut up." Like, that's the look. I was beyond frustrated. But it's an absolute cluster of nonsense. And politicians are now getting involved because they should. They should. And compensation is being in the tens of millions is going to be paid out to a lot of people. A lot of people who have lost their lives are about to become very wealthy and deservedly so. So I'm going to refrain from talking about that in this show edition because I don't think it's worthwhile. But it's worth highlighting that it's an ongoing issue. But I'm going to start. I'd like to start with something, if that's okay with you. I mean, and I will say the Horizon IT system thing, which is part of the postal scandal, I believe, which is what has been blamed for this problem. Tony Blair knew about it. He was warned about it, in fact, but Tony Blair was such a shit politician, he never actually knew how to do politics. So he never dealt with any issues. And we'll deal with that another time. I'll save this sort of time. I want to talk about nanny state enthusiasm. Are you familiar with this term, Trups?
I am, but I think I need a little bit more context because there's a lot of ways it could go.
So I have recently started saying that UK governments are nanny state enthusiasts, and they have been for a long time. That's why we don't have guns, because they don't want us to have that right to protect ourselves. In fact, if we protect ourselves like farmers do on their lands, that farmer runs the risk of going to prison. Because how dare you shoot somebody who invades your home? How dare you defend yourself in front of a police officer when you're being stabbed, when the police officer will surely help you when they get permission from their boss, who's then had to fill in about 20 forms and get the approval of the relevant mayor from a county over. After he's paid him in Bitcoin, shat out by a unicorn.
Yeah. Okay.
The permission to do things is hilarious, including pit maneuvers in cars. It's just stupid. Our government, for decades, have often pushed to control people's lives more, and I don't like it in the slightest. I hated it during COVID because there was a level of "but we're right" that frustrated me. Because they didn't at that time have any proof to confirm they were right. You could say hindsight now, but that doesn't change the fact you didn't have the proof then. I found an article before we started, and I thought it was hilarious when I highlighted a sentence. So I thought I'd get my friend Dave here to come here. Come on, David, come here. Come on, come over here. please read the 4 words. No, actually, read this. Read this entire thing from these 3 lines. Read them, David. Go on.
Hello, I'm David. I'm about to ruin your stream with my voice.
Thanks.
Sir Keir Starmer has said he is up for that fight over accusations Labour is embracing the nanny state, as he announced proposals for supervised toothbrushing in schools.
Go away.
Handing over to professionals again.
Professionals? So yes,
Try to compliment you.
Keir Starmer is trying to become Prime Minister this year with an election happening later in the year, and he wants supervised toothbrushing in schools. Now, I understand this issue, oddly enough, because I have nieces, one who's 10, who do not brush their teeth properly. Unless
supervised.
Yeah, unless they're supervised. But to take it to school, to me, seems pointless, because it should be something at home, right? That's what I think. I don't think politicians should be at any point involved in teaching a child how to be hygienic. It should be down to the family.
Can I just point out the hilarity real quick?
Go on.
That the UK.
Yeah.
This is coming from an American. Understand this?
Go on.
The UK is having such an issue apparently with dental hygiene that your politicians have seen fit to make a comment.
Yep.
That we need to put it into schools.
Yep. I find it hilarious.
It plays into the UK has bad teeth thing way too hard.
It does. And the reason I got Dave to do it is because Dave did ruin his teeth as a kid, I believe.
No, mine was just inherently weak enamel.
Okay, he's inbred, so his teeth were weak.
Were just damaged. I didn't actually ruin them.
Well, okay, so I didn't ruin my teeth, but I didn't brush my teeth much as a child because I was never taught. So actually, there was a point there. But my nieces are all nieces are taught because in this house they are. In fact, most kids are taught. But then he's arguing because of a statistic that the top reason children between 6 and 10 go to hospital is because of tooth decay. That's justification, but actually you need to show the numbers to justify that first, because actually if you don't prove the numbers to show that there's an increase, then actually you're just saying it's the next one on the list, and so we now must nanny state that because that's the next problem, instead of saying, okay, but the numbers aren't that high, actually, is that a problem? Which is that's the casual mind interpretation of a problem, rather than simply pointing out where the numbers actually exist and what the numbers say. He's just saying it's the top reason, not that it's become the top reason or that it is growing as a concern. But yes, the UK do have horrendous teeth, apparently. Although, our teeth are typically healthier than Americans that are just bleached and capped.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The Americans have also bad teeth, but it is for an entirely different reason.
I mean, it could be because your system's predatory and no one wants to go and use the dentist. We just
Well,
don't have,
yeah,
we just don't have enough
that was one of
dentists,
them.
you know? We don't have enough
That was
of them.
one of them. Yeah. It's extremely expensive to go get like oral surgery.
Well, on that note, would you like to guess how much it would cost to roll out a national supervised toothbrushing program for 3 to 5-year-olds per year?
I could not even begin to imagine, but shoot, go for it.
£9 million.
No fucking way.
That's the answer I wanted to hear. It would be funded by abolishing the non-dom tax status. Now, that is such...
the nom-dom is the funny issue.
The omnomidom. Yeah. The omnomidom tax status. Now, that is a shot at Rishi Sunak because of his wife. She has non-dom status. She's a billionaire. She's got omnomidom status. Right? And he's only said that because of that. Thing is, it won't raise $9 million a year because those with non-dom status will bloody well leave the country. Simple as that. They'll come here on like a visitor's visa. Mm-hmm. Rishi Sunak's wife doesn't have to live here. She doesn't give a shit. She has no reason to care.
Mm-hmm.
So it is solely done. Their health secretaries. This is where Labour are now starting to show their hand. We're coming to an election season, and their hand is to show pointless spending in something that doesn't need to be. It's not the kids that need to be taught to brush teeth. It's the parents need to be taught to actually spend time with their kids to show them how to brush their teeth.
No.
My nieces all have electric toothbrushes. I don't. I use a standard toothbrush. My teeth are in better condition than my nieces half the time. Mine are whiter, I think. They don't feel dirty. I brush them more than my nieces, you know. I wake up and I brush them for 2 minutes because I'm very thorough. You know, but I don't think it's on the government to waste £9 million. They want to try and talk about having money for the economy, talking about how to invest in the economy. Bitch, you're investing in 3 to 5 year olds and brushing their teeth to the tune of £9 million. What are you gonna do? Print out a bunch of shitty pamphlets with Dora the Explorer on, or Mr. Tumbles or something, or whatever the American equivalent of a kids' TV presenter is. The Wiggles. Let's go with the Wiggles.
Ironically, Peppa Pig.
Oh, actually, on that note, Dave's wearing Peppa Pig slippers that say "Daddy" on.
Do you? Wow.
He legitimately is wearing them. Peppa Pig. It's got banana, isn't it? Yeah, with glasses on.
Yeah.
Daddy.
The irony is that it's a
that's
British. It's a British, or Bluey. Bluey is also another thing.
Bluey's very popular, yeah, but we don't do Bluey here.
No, they do watch it.
I meant in my room.
Oh,
okay. No. But yeah, I don't like this idea in the slightest of saying you will fight against the idea of being called nanny state, of being, embracing the nanny state. But this is very much proof of it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I can't be asked. But I thought I'd share that first as a nice little taste at the start because it tickled me, and well, I wasn't entirely sure where to go from there beyond Nikki Haley, Biden being a twat, and Ukraine, and of course Houthi. Is it Houthi? Is that how you pronounce it?
Houthi? Yeah. Well, it is. Where does one go from that point? That's the real question.
Okay. Well, we could. There's a where is it? There was apparently a Nikki Haley gaffe recently. She had difficulty articulating the cause of the Civil War.
Yes, I believe we briefly touched upon that. Was it last week?
The article I've got is from yesterday, so I don't know. She
they're rehashing it.
She tried to be too clever by in refusing to name slavery as the cause of the nation's bloodiest conflict. Apparently,
I mean, I guess.
I don't know if that's true or not, but then this does come from the Guardian.
Civil War is the nation's bloodiest, but that's because the only people who died were Americans.
Yeah.
So, no shit.
Well, it's typical Guardian writing. It's done for the sake of stating the bloody obvious because they're not smart enough to articulate a different point.
But the other thing is, and that's kind of important to mention, is that the situation regarding the cause of the Civil War thing, and I touched on this last week too, is that there's no good right answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you say the obvious answer that the media wants is you're going to piss off people in the South who genuinely believe that it had more to do with taxes and encroachment on the from the North, trains that were extorting places in the South. I mean, there were other issues at hand. And while, yes, a lot of them stem from slavery, that to oversimplify the issue to just slavery is a bit of a disservice to the actual, rest of the story.
There's
but then the other one is not good either.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. It's fascinating that because obviously now you're getting into a more hot territory for your candidates. You've got Haley getting called out a fair bit. Not heard much about Vivek of late. Trump's still trying to run. He's going to a court now because of it, which I find hilarious because it shouldn't have to go that far in the first place. And somehow Chris Christie's still in it.
No, he is not. He pulled out yesterday or the day before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, he has officially.
That's not been announced over here.
Yes, well, that happened about 2 or so days ago. Chris Christie has officially stepped away.
My mistake. I take it back. I retract my statement about the fat fuck.
Oh, honestly, you're not missing much. So.
Well, he pulled out after Pence, so he can hold that high, I guess.
I suppose, but now you are left to 3. Now, ironically, Chris Christie was actually caught on a hot mic saying that Nikki Haley is going to get slaughtered, essentially, in the
He's not wrong.
thing. And that the reason why is that they just can't stand up to Trump, essentially. And I don't even think he's considering we're on a real a real person. Actually, I think he mentioned that Ron is planning to pull out after Iowa caucus in like 4 days.
It would be better for him to pull out because then he can just carry on being a governor and rebuild, and then in 4 years' time have another go.
True, and maybe people will forget about him wearing platform heels.
Is he that short?
No, they won't. Yeah, he is.
How short is he? Is he a gnome?
No, but he's I think like 5'8".
Oh, he's such a midget. He's 5'8".
I think so.
Oh,
Because
he's tiny. I didn't know they did him that short. He's like Marty McFly or something.
A bit. So apparently the argument is between 5'9" and 6'2". Others say he's closer to 5'7".
He's not even Marty McFly then. Okay. He's a short one, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
I would feel sorry for him, but I liked him. I thought he'd be good as a running mate for Trump, and then he just stopped being, well, interesting.
Well,
interesting in a different way.
The problem was that his campaign was run like shit.
That's his fault.
Correct. Well, yes, actually, yes. It is completely his fault because he is the one who sets up his own campaign team.
Oh, does he?
I mean, eventually. The buck stops with the person at the top, right?
Yeah, I would have thought a chief of staff would have something to do with that.
Sure, but then you appoint that guy, too.
Who cares how tall a person is? I do, Orla. It is the most importantest thing on this very importantest show.
And it definitely does matter which sex you are. And especially when given the context, right? So let's think about like on a stage, right? Chris Christie is like 6 foot. Trump is like 6'2". Nikki Haley is probably about 5'8", 5'9" too, but women typically wear heels. At least 1.5 inches usually in a more professional setting. 1 to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 if you're going to a fancy party. That would make you look like the no service bar on your wireless device.
Oh dear. I get in the game of politics and optics, it matters to the casual who looks at you and says you are inferior.
It also projects a symbol of strength. One of the reasons why we put up the symbol, the emblem of the president, in front of the Roosevelt desk in the Oval Office was because FDR was in a wheelchair.
Mm.
So whereas if you look at pictures of JFK in the Oval Office, you will see that you can see his feet. So that's part of it too.
I get that. In Chaos, you're a midget. That's interesting. I'm fascinated by but I mean, I knew DeSantis is probably of the lot. I thought we had the best chance, and then Vivek started talking. And I thought, okay, well, DeSantis isn't winning. Not Santos, that's West Wing.
Santos.
Yeah, Matt Santos, but he's Democrat anyway. It doesn't matter. Ron DeSantis isn't winning, so he needs to pull out and rebuild. Simple as that. Perhaps get some leg extensions with titanium rods put into his legs. And Vivek seems like a good bet, but then he's not beating Trump. The only way he beats Trump is if Trump can't run.
True.
And that's ongoing.
Well, and he did make that point. Vivek has said recently, and he's been kind of going off on the media's way about doing things.
Yes.
He has like explicitly mentioned that the way that this is going to work is that they're going to try to take him off the ballot.
Yep.
So that you must vote for specific individuals that will cater to their party, right? So you'll have somebody like Nikki Haley, whom they believe that they can control, who acts as a puppet. And as opposed to somebody like Vivek, who probably won't get a fair shot because the Republicans won't vote him.
If they try to control who you can and can't vote for, it's further proof that the establishment controls the entire narrative.
Yeah, and also that like what we had said in the past is 100% accurate. That
Complete corruption.
Yes, it's bullshit.
And also, it's very the whole thing we agreed is unconstitutional in the first place.
Yeah, correct. Yep, 100%. But we the problem is again that we also the Supreme Court has agreed to take up the Colorado question, which means that they will actually have to allow him on the ballot until the Supreme Court can rule.
Wait, what?
Which I think is so. There was an appeal from the Trump team about the Colorado taking him off the ballot in the primary.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court has agreed that they are going to look over that decision, like the Supreme Court of the United States. Thus, while it is being discussed, the Colorado issue must go on before, like, as if they had not made that decision, until the Supreme Court can say, yes, what you did is fine, or nah.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Bit of a. Yeah, no.
Confused?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, it's more normal than you think, because basically it issues a stay in that judgment.
Yeah.
So that, like, you can't, like, la la la, I'm not listening, bye bye.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Like, the Supreme Court has agreed they're going to look this over because they do not believe that what you are doing is correct.
I'm glad they're looking it over, but I have no doubt part of me thinks they're going to dawdle.
I don't think they have the chance to, despite
Really?
I imagine that that some individuals is very much like that. I don't think they have the opportunity to do so.
I'm glad that that's the case because this needs to be resolved quickly. You can't. We've already pointed out this is unconstitutional. You cannot prevent him from running because you haven't got anything that runs count. None of your claims stick.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you've got on him are charges of what his net worth is, and that's not really a thing either.
Mm.
And congratulations, Sobi, for being one of the tall women.
Nice. You said no point to the comment, just wanted to chime in, they say confidently.
That's why I thought I'd highlight it, you know. So I'd add the fact that you'd make eye contact for two totally separate reasons. Congratulations.
Moving on.
Yeah. What do you think about like Nikki Haley's chances at the moment? Do you agree that she's kind of fecked?
Yes, but I think it's because Republicans, like, no person on the conservative side of the aisle at the moment, I don't think will give them a chance. Does that make sense?
Is it because she's a woman or because of a policy? Or both?
No, it's because she's an establishment shill.
That's interesting because obviously you had the speaker problem when they were trying to pick someone, and it showed genuinely how divided they were.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great testament to it. I think Nikki Haley falls into the bracket of I don't think they could back her because they're too divided on what she as you said, what she stands for.
Right.
I like that because it means she's got to try harder if she wants to.
Well, not even try harder. She can't try harder if she like. There's nothing that she could do to make it better. She has to eat this situation.
Yeah.
Simply because of the fact that she is playing the part of an establishment person, right? She is playing the part of what the media would call a moderate Republican, somebody that they don't agree with, but is willing to play ball with. You know what I mean? The media only wants to play ball with people that they can control.
We said that when Trump ran because that was the point, to prove that this is completely rigged.
Yes.
And they spent 4 years denying it, saying it was Russian influence, and then when he said it returned to his loss, they were like, "No, this was free and fair election. Don't try me. It was completely legitimate. More votes than Obama.
Right.
More popular than anyone ever."
Oh yeah, that was the craziest part of the whole thing. I'm like, oh yeah, just better than Obama, eh? That's interesting. Yeah, it totally didn't look bizarrely like if you
It
look
did
at
not at
like
all because it was
the
legit.
popular vote.
Yeah.
If you look at the popular vote for Republicans from Mitt Romney to Trump to then Trump again, it at least makes a upward like gradual curve, but it shoots up, kind of like that like sudden ballot counting that happened in Georgia.
So what you're talking
It
about?
kind of looks like
election,
that.
The election was free and fair.
Yeah.
Because
Just
YouTube will
pointing
strike us
out,
otherwise.
oh no, I'm just saying that just strictly based on graphs, there was a sharp line, and it kind of looks like how if you looked at the general vote between Hillary and Biden, also has a quite sharp line.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you look at illegal migration, it also has quite a sharp line.
There's been a bit of an ongoing problem with that because I've heard about more of the sanctuary cities who have obviously they're nowhere near these borders being sent more people by Abbott, and they're like, you can't keep doing this to us. You can't keep sending them here. We don't have space and we know where to put them. What about our lives? Like, you voted for them to be
Good question.
in the first place. Like, how are you?
No, honestly, they're all great questions. You should ask the Texans. They've been doing it for quite some time for your ass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I find it, and that's the problem. You can't keep dumping your problems onto other states and expecting it to be fine by the other state. The other state is an independent nation in its own right.
Yes, technically speaking, that is absolutely correct.
And so you cannot dump. And it's like I saw an analogy actually. So a comedian called James Acaster was talking about it at Brexit, and he said that think of the EU like a tea bag, right? And
okay.
The more you're in it, is in the tea, the stronger it gets. Yeah.
Sure.
But then, say you're Britain and you're the tea bag itself, and you remove yourself, then you're just leaves, floating around in water with no strength, no consistency, and you fall apart. That was his point. My point is more of a if you can take that analogy and apply it to the States, and say that Texas can fuck right off, and you guys are screwed. Like,
yeah, true.
They got the second strongest economy. Stop it. Stop pissing off the big guy, because the big guy makes more money than you.
Well, it actually even more so than that. It's the big guy has a lot of control in we'll just call it things. Texas does a lot. A lot of people don't realize how much Texas does, but Texas has basically enough to handle itself as its own country. Ironically, one of the only states that could stand on its own.
The only thing it can't
strictly
survive,
functionally.
Yeah, the only thing it can't do is survive snow. But the analogy is stronger together. Yeah. Okay, then
absolutely.
That's the analogy of the tea bag and the water. Longer stuff. But if you are together, then what the fuck are you doing? Like dumping your problem, onto one of the states and expecting it to just be totally ignored. Like that's not accept. And also, they think that by having that happen, they're just all going to vote Democrats. Like it's not going to happen because you idiots have been going to Texas for a while and you still haven't turned it blue. You've been trying this for decades. It's still not happened. And when you do it once, I promise you, it'll never happen again.
The problem is that they're doing the same thing that they did to all the other states. That remember how we were talking about like there are no necessarily like blue states. There are blue cities.
Yeah.
They're going to try to turn Austin, Houston, Dallas into blue areas.
Yeah.
If you go down to like Eagle Pass, that's Arizona, New Mexico. If you go to like the border areas, you're going to find a lot of Republicans. Ironically, you're going to find a lot of Mexican Republicans, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah. Chaos in the chat says Democrats move to Texas, then turn Republican.
Yes, also true.
It doesn't surprise me because you've got a very different way of life. That's the thing about states I've noticed as observation is that each state is not only different culturally as a whole. It's different culturally internally. So a culture from let's say California, for the sake of it, where a lot have moved to Texas because of the tax, they've noticed actually it can be done at a lower tax rate. It can be a better quality of life, lower cost of living. It is better for them, and they also have more freedom, and none of this safe city nonsense. You have safety and security, and you don't have it when there's more control. What a shocker. And so you're going to vote, even though you don't want to, you're going to vote for what actually has looked out for you in this instance.
Oh, yeah. And the people there also are very well aware.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a way that you could swing the conversation that would say that the Texas is not going to suddenly turn blue just because people ran away from California in order to use their terrible plans elsewhere.
Yeah, and Chaos, you're completely right.
Happen.
I think a lot of non-Americans don't understand, but I do, because I know that my country is very small, yet we have many different cultures and regions and languages and accents. It's so culturally different for such a small space. It has to apply to each individual state in America. And Gavin Newsom is terrible. Yeah, I've heard about him. Isn't he the one that made it so that you don't have to inform somebody if you have an STD?
I don't remember specifically if that was Gavin in California or Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, I remember one of. I think it sounds like a Newsom thing.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it was Oregon. It might have also been Washington State, which is like Seattle.
Oregon is the lady, isn't it? Kate something, isn't it? That's the Monday Matt State, isn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't really care much for that era, that whole area. So I just stay out of it.
I'm just gonna quickly look it up because I'm curious. Oregon.
Well, while we do that, we should move on to the main story because we are almost out of time.
Kate Brown was the previous one. It's now currently Tina Kotek. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Although I guess they LGBT, so their wife. That's all you need to know, I guess. Sweet. Closing next. I don't care. Nothing of value was lost. Yes. Okay. So, Houthi. What is a Houthi?
It is a Iranian-backed militia a member of the militia, whom is stationed in Yemen in this case, and they are responsible for about 12% of the world's GDP having to be diverted around fucking what's it called? Fucking Africa right now.
Really?
Yeah. So that's currently going on.
Okay.
Lovely. And then we have a they've been sending drones and missiles that were provided to them by Iran. And they've been, shooting at some ships, pissing off some people, a bunch of stuff. They are basically just Iranian-backed terrorists. That's what they are. That's just the simplest answer. They're just terrorists.
Okay. So I only found out today that these rebel fighters in Yemen, which the only time I've ever heard about Yemen was in Friends. Literally one episode of Chandler going to Yemen to get away from somebody. Thank you. Oh my god. Yeah. I didn't know that the UK had also been a part of this.
Yes,
and that explains why World War III was trending on Twitter, I think.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I mean, if we're going to go by us airstriking in the Middle East, a very Obama tactic, World War III must have surely begun a decade ago at this point.
Well, I mean, kind of. I mean, we've been basically just skirting around the World War III conversation. Every time we've engaged in a proxy war, because it's never been like us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not been America or the UK directly involved. It's we're helping out the local government or a local militia group. It's not we're not actually responsible.
No, not responsible in the slightest.
Right, exactly.
We're grown up here. Yeah.
That is what they say.
I saw a number of articles about it today and looked at a couple. One was that Biden should have consulted Congress, which is unusual because I didn't think he had to.
Doesn't.
That was a strange one.
He doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't have to because it's very much buck stops at him. He does what he does with with the advice of military leaders. He does what is advised or
basically
the approval of. I remember it from like West Wing. I'm sorry, but no, he doesn't have to tell Congress anything because they're domestic. He does foreign. That's what it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Well, basically, as the president is commander in chief, he is not. He does not have to perform certain actions.
But we do, and that's what intrigues me. Our prime ministers have to get approval, and so I am very impressed in one respect that Rishi Sunak not only got involved in this but got the approval to do it. Because I don't know, the guy's got no knowledge of military at all. He has none. He might have played World of Tanks once. But that's about it. I doubt the man actually knows what he's doing. Unless he's thinking because of his heritage. Well, Yemen can go back to the stone... Oh, wait, hang on. I don't know. It's not that far back. But yeah, I just don't quite understand. I don't quite... I mean, it actually does make some sense, actually. We're coming to election season. Oh, look. The Conservatives are working with the Americans to save the world again by being the world's police. We're going through a renaissance of England and America.
Fuck yeah!
Doing their bit to save the mother fluffing day, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it?
It's in the song, yeah.
That being said, though, I'm a little concerned with... I don't actually like that we did this. Well, I know we had to, but I don't like it.
There were 60 strikes launched against 16 sites linked to the military operations of the Houthis. That's a big ass amount of that's a lot to do. That's a lot of coordination, timing, and I think it's very, very important that's if you're willing to commit that much, either you've got them locked down and you're acting to end it, or you're just taking one hell of a punt in the dark.
I mean, I think it was 16 strikes and hit 60 locations, something like that.
Well, no, it's the other way around. 60 strikes, 16 locations.
Okay.
So it's to me that's a lot to do in a coordinator with the UK. Biden said these strikes are in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea, including the use of anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history. These attacks have endangered US personnel, civilian mariners, and our partners, jeopardized trade and threatened freedom of navigation. What I've heard here
is objectively true, by the way.
The thing is, when I hear that, I think, right, so that usually your response is what is dubbed proportionate. You've just gone, YOLO swag fam, I'm taking every last one of you cunts out.
Apparently, allegedly, according to what has been reported, we have apparently only 5 people died. So it sounds like we
oh my god!
It struck like
no. We just dropped stormtroopers on them.
Look. I saw. Wait, hold on. I saw a meme where it was. I don't know if you've seen this guy on TikTok, but he does reenactments of like historical things. He's this large, like long-haired, shoulder-length, like brown-haired guy. He's
I
very,
think I know
very
who you're
funny.
talking about. I think I do.
And he showed one who goes Japan watching what's about to happen. Houthis attacking American ships. Japan going, no, don't do it. And Houthis going, I don't understand. And then it's just America coming down with every punch in the face.
Yeah.
And it just has the nuclear symbol on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um,
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna put it to a casual. Okay. If David, say hello.
There.
If you launch 60 strikes against 16 sites, how many do you expect to die?
Am I American military or British military?
Both.
4.
You were one off. It was 5. You were being very charitable. You undersold, my friend. Okay.
yeah,
you can't...
you're very kind of you.
Just switch,
Yeah.
so I just said 11.
Oh, could have been 7. It's how embarrassing is that? But I maybe they were thinking to take out the military operations aspect and not hurt the military personnel.
Allegedly, that was what they said.
I don't think that's true, though.
And by allegedly, I mean according to a general who was speaking on MSNBC earlier. That was
I think that's their way of trying to save face.
Maybe, but I don't think that we're that incompetent that if we wanted to hit somebody, we wouldn't have hit somebody.
I think the Houthis were having a siesta somewhere else in Iran, and they forgot. Or in Yemen, sorry. And they just didn't realise, and were like, well, we've already expended our load, we're going to get them another time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see the bloody point. I do agree, though, if you're going to... Like, it's got here... Ships from 50 different nations affected in 27 attacks on commercial shipping along the route that was being attacked in the Red Sea. You have hostages taken by pirates, 2,000 freighters forced to change course. I understand that you need to act, and I get that. This, though, doesn't look like it will resolve the issue completely. You just push the Houthis onto land, I guess. Because you didn't take any of the bastards out, and they'll just keep on learning and improving and, well, adapting. They'll just steal someone's boat. If that makes sense. Okay, so why are you... you mentioned you were semi-against this action.
So I don't like it because I'm witnessing that whole, like, we're getting involved again.
World policing again. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. We took our time with this one. Apparently, Biden had been in conversations about this for a few weeks, sought out a coalition of countries, then even sought a UN resolution that would allow them to do such a thing.
Yeah.
All these things done and over with, and then it was handled, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of part of the thing that I witnessed there, right? Like, yes, we did it the best way we could have, but that doesn't mean that I'm not witnessing the same shit that I've always seen.
Yeah.
And it is a concern.
Would you like to know who in Congress said that the president should have told Congress?
I actually know.
Cory Bush, you're right. On Twitter.
And Rashida Tlaib.
Well, Cory Bush on Twitter, at POTUS, can't launch airstrikes in Yemen without congressional approval. This is illegal and violates Article 1 of the Constitution. The people do not want more of our taxpayer dollars going to endless war and the killing of civilians. Stop the bombing and do better by us. Now, this is technically correct, but Article 2 of the Constitution also empowers the President to direct the use of military force to protect the nation from an attack or threat of imminent attack and to protect important national interests. This qualifies because trade is fundamental. And yes, I did roll 11.
Yeah, 11 from the 7 earlier.
I got it. But yes, Cory Bush is one, and Cory Bush is a name I've heard earlier, but then readers added context to Cory Bush. Congress has acknowledged the inherent executive power of the president to take military action in response to acts of terrorism in both the War Powers Resolution and the joint resolution passed by Congress on the 14th of September 2001. This is how you know someone like Cori Bush haven't been in politics that long, because they're so reactionary. They don't know their own bloody history.
Well, okay, so the War Powers Act was never something that we really wanted to have in place permanently.
Understandably.
But yes, that's a thing.
But at the same time, it became irrelevant because of Article 2 of the Constitution.
Yeah. Basically, what it comes down to is that the commander-in-chief has the ability to direct actions of the military. Congress, specifically, has the right to declare war. And these two things, especially in 2001, got very murky. And the reason why is because when we declared war, quote unquote, we were declaring war on terror, not on a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't quite play out the way they wanted it to, because, yeah, it's not really real.
I've got a query.
Yeah.
Cori Bush has obviously not been a Congress person for a while, for that long. Nor Rashida Tlaib, to be honest. They're not really the old Democrats who could be considered the type to want the war so they can make some money out of it from insider trading. Do you think that they would change their tune if it was another country, not the Middle East?
No. I think
if they
that
benefited monetarily, or do you actually they are set in they've got values here.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe. And the reason I changed it to a maybe is because Cori Bush does have a very, very specific set of goals in mind, desires. Like, she has an agenda. And the squad in general has not been very well appreciated by other progressives online. I actually retweeted somebody earlier that said, I'm more than willing to I'm more than willing to vote out the squad and put more progressive individuals in power. And I thought, wow, that's quite a statement.
Yeah.
Given that those individuals are the people that they put into practice. And the caption that I had retweeted it was, they will eat their own if you are not progressive enough.
Yeah, I think there's a point to that, and it seems very selective what they are. On what they want to back. But I think when it came to the Middle East, there's a level of I must act like a good white knight. Although Rashida Tlaib's just a moron, quite frankly.
I mean, yes, but also there's been a rift between these individuals, the squad, and the Biden administration for a little bit of time now.
Oh, they were doing that a while back, weren't they? They really went to town with the Hamas thing, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, that showed that. I mean, I'll give them some credit here for having the balls to just stand up and blindly say what they said, because they just look like Hamas apologists. Quite impressive.
Well, I mean, they kind of were, though.
Oh, they were. I just have to be very careful how I phrase that. It's all alleged, of course.
Oh no, it's straight up.
Yeah.
Like, she had a Palestine flag outside her office and everything.
That's nothing to be proud of.
There was a long string of things. But anyway, the point is that they didn't like how the Biden administration was handling the issue in Gaza. So they had already created a rift amongst that group. So now, seeing this issue with I mean, they basically just handed another like warmonger
Yeah,
thing, and of course it's against Muslims.
that is unfortunate.
That is a major part of this, whether people want to admit it or not. That if you can't ignore that is a component to this conversation, and perhaps if it wasn't towards Muslims, then Rashida Tlaib might have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe not Corey, but Rashida maybe. The other thing is, I don't think, because I don't want to say necessarily that they're like, oh yeah, well now we have an issue with intervention, because those people are still asking for intervention anywhere else, right?
Right.
Like we're still getting asked for intervention in Israel for Gaza aid, right, and for Ukraine, right? So intervention has never been their issue. Also, I believe this isn't actually the first airstrike that we've helped coordinate this like administration, and I don't remember them saying anything about that previously. Though I could be wrong about that.
Could be.
Basically, what I think is that those people are maybe playing a game of, hey, you didn't play ball with me when I was willing, when I asked for things, so now I'm not playing with you anymore. And I'm willing to say that that's probably more accurate, just looking at, well, what exactly is being presented to us through their Twitter pages, through other people's opinions, and things of that nature.
Okay. So with the Houthi strikes, what happens now?
Well, apparently they're trying to get into a position where they can diplomatically kind of slow this on down, because they admitted, even the general, right? He admitted that the situation is not going to deter the Houthi rebels, so that they need to come up with another solution, essentially.
Yeah.
Basically, that's why they attacked strategic locations, not people, because hitting people doesn't really matter. So now they're going to have to start looking at other options, like, hey, Iran, so we just did this. Maybe calm your people down, because the general said that if push comes to shove, we may have to threaten Iran.
Calm your tits and have a biscuit.
Yeah, for real. And that's the part that I was like, I don't like this game.
This does explain the whole World War III thing, but then to be honest, with the Russia thing in Ukraine and Gaza and Israel, it feels like things are escalating anyway.
True.
And
I'm just basically looking at all of this shit like being displayed outright, and I'm just, could we not?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Actually, I don't like the idea of it being as prevalent a problem, especially because of the increase in use of troops and missiles and stuff. Because it is going to lead to the US being pushed more into a position they don't need to be the world's police. Stop expecting to nanny state the whole bloody planet.
Well, and again, while the US did it, we did coordinate with you guys this time.
Yes, that's what I'm still maintaining I'm baffled by that. But at the same time, part of me is a little bit impressed. So let's say coordinate. What's probably happened here is you guys have suggested what we should do, and we've just put our commandos in the right place and done it.
Probably. Because you guys are probably like, hey, we're gonna, hey, UK, can we borrow some of your like intelligence in the region? Thanks.
Rishi's gone on the phone and gone, oh, Charlie, King Charlie the third. Oh yes, what would you like to do today? You want to kill some swans with me? No, I want to nuke some places. Oh, sweet, the swans, great. It's whatever. you have to get approval from the king, I believe, anyway. So.
Do you? I don't know how your system works as well.
I don't know military strikes actually, but I know if at war we do, but it's more ceremonial.
Right, and again, this is not war, apparently.
No, but social media does like to sensationalize for the clicks, after all, don't they?
Yes, very much so, and we definitely are staring down the barrel of it.
I don't like that. I know that
more so than we were with Trump. By the way,
there was one other issue actually that popped up this week that actually intrigued me on the subject of war. It was that Sweden is going to join NATO, and Sweden have said to their citizens, "You guys need to gear up because we might go to war with Russia."
Interesting.
I'm like, all right, then I look forward to that because Russia will lose that one too, like they did to Finland. Which is ironic considering they used the very thing Finland used to defeat the Nazis. They used the cold to their advantage and then blitzkrieged them, didn't they?
Scorched earth, cold and terrain.
Yeah, and then Finland did the exact same thing to Russia. Yeah. It's like, how could you be beaten like that?
Finland had a competent military.
You try and do it to Sweden, you got to go across Finland in the first place. You silly sausage. Anyway, where do you think we'll be next week? Because we're coming to the end. Where do you think we'll stand on this? Do you think there'll be more happen, or do you think we'll be nice and relaxed and chill in America?
I think there's no way. Like everyone in that region is currently bracing for a counterattack.
Yeah,
a counterattack. So there is no reason in my heart that there is not going to be some manner of escalation going forward.
Yeah, I do think it's gonna have to escalate, and I don't like that. I don't want war. I don't want any war, really. I just want all of humanity to end. But beyond that, I don't want war. War is... I know it's profitable. I know it's very titillating. But for me, it's...
Oh, yes, tits.
Of course. But it's very unnecessary. And I would rather seek for a better solution than death. Yeah.
Yes, I as well. I agree 100%. We should avoid death.
But whether anyone would like to avoid the dead seas and no go back seas and a full-blown case of deadness is up to them, because I'm not involved. I don't have to care. I do care because I don't want people to die yet. I want to be the one to do it. I'm a man. Anyway,
so bleak is how I would say.
Yeah,
is how we're looking.
It's not. Anyway, are we here next week, Trups?
I think so, yes.
Oh, sweet. Oh, brilliant. Well, then in that case, we've reached the end of the show because you've got to do stuff and I'm getting tired and I want to have hot chocolate before I go to bed.
Lovely.
Because Dave we're doing it with, like, stuff. It's going to be amazing.
Stuff and things.
Yes. It's going to be, I can't. It's chili chocolate with chili chocolates in them. We're going to put extra It's going to be great, okay? It's going to be fancy chocolate with fancy chocolate with fancy chocolate and whole fat milk. Okay, well, this will be up on Spotify tomorrow because I've got to work on the computer anyway. Because no, this week at Twister Today, it'll be out tomorrow now because I was away all day. Obviously, Dad's dearly departed's funeral and obviously spending time with my father. Thank you everyone for joining. We really appreciate it. Sorry for the abrupt ending, but I noticed the time and thought, well, you know what? Fuck you. Do smash the like. We are going to be back in next week, as Trups has said. And do follow us on Rumble and Spotify. So, is anything else Trups would like to say?
No.
Say good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.